Okay, so here's my question. When Netanyahu was asking Trump not to agree to a ceasefire with Iran, was he asking Trump with an open hand or with a back knuckle? I think that's the question that I really have here. So what are we, 5 weeks into this war that no American wants? 5 weeks into this war that is going to massively damage the American economy. 5 weeks into this war where Trump is now asking for $200 billion so that he can kill Iranians. Now to be clear, right? Mandami is a communist piece of crap because he wants to try to make housing affordable, food affordable, and make early childhood education or child care affordable in New York City, right? Food, housing, and child care, that's the thing of communists. Whereas $200 billion to bomb the shit out of a country half a world away that we shouldn't even care about anymore, that's just good old capitalism, right? So anyways, I think this is kind of interesting to take a look at and to question what is going to happen with the United States and really the global economy as Trump, right, our bootlick-in-chief, right? I prefer a commander-in-chief that doesn't shit himself when it's his time to serve our country. But anyways, right, basically what happens when we are not in control of our own war? Right? This isn't about us. This just isn't about Americans. It's just not, right? You know, one of the things I've talked about before is like with the shale revolution. I was really excited about the shale revolution because as Trump has said, we are quote unquote oil self-sufficient. Now that's not quite the case. Again, there's globalization and we're a big country and how supply chains work. I mean, we both are self-sufficient, but functionally not self-sufficient at the same time. But whatever, we'll go with it, right? And so the thing is, right, if we're oil self-sufficient, just on brass tacks, and then you add things like solar and renewable energy and the rest of it, one of the things that was really exciting back in like 2012, 2013 was the idea that we as Americans could stop giving a crap about the Middle East. One way or the other, right? Our interaction with the Middle East on every level is a stain on our soul. I mean, think about this for a second. The quote-unquote good guys are the Israelis. Right. We're supposed to bomb the shit out of a theocratic regime, a terroristic theocratic regime, when our friends over there are the Saudis and the Qataris and the UAE. Right? And Israel is the best. They're a democratic nation, you know, as long as you're the right type of people. The right type of people get a democratic nation. The wrong type of people just have to understand that the knee is going to be in their neck for eternity. So as long as they can accept a knee in their neck, they're welcome to live in this country. Otherwise, get the fuck out. Right? I mean, think about this, right? Everything we touch with the Middle East literally stains the American soul, right? So the idea is that if we were going to be self-sufficient in fuel and we have renewable energies coming down the pike and the whole nine yards, we should be able to walk away from the Middle East, right? Back during the first Gulf War, right? When I was a teenager, when I was in high school. And it's like, why do we care about the Israelis, right? You got the Scud missiles going, you got the Patriot missiles, all of this defense of Israel. And my mom would say, well, you know, there's a lot of things back and forth with this, but the deal is we need oil out of the Middle East, right? There has been the Cold War and the whole nine yards, and so Israel was the foothold in the Middle East, whether or not we agree with everything that they do. But here's the thing. We shouldn't have to care about the Middle East anymore. We shouldn't have to give a shit about that shithole speck of land anymore. Let them all do whatever the hell it is that they're going to do. But no. Instead, we are spending $200 billion to go to war yet again. Not $200 billion to build hospitals, not $200 billion to build housing, not $200 billion to reinvigorate and modernize education in the United States. No, $200 billion to blow the shit out of Israel because Netanyahu basically demands it. Right? Netanyahu, I mean, this is coming from, I think it's Times of Israel. Netanyahu said to ask Trump not to move forward with Iran ceasefire at this stage. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned U.S. President Donald Trump on Sunday against agreeing to a ceasefire. He warned. Yeah, Freudian slip there, right? Against agreeing to a ceasefire with Iran at this stage in the war against the Islamic Republic, a senior Israeli official told Channel 12. Netanyahu has publicly insisted that the U.S. and Israel see eye to eye on the fighting in Iran, called Trump on Sunday ostensibly to congratulate him on the rescue of a downed U.S. F-15 airman in Iran, the official told Channel 12, but in reality orchestrated the conversation to express concern over potential ceasefire with Iran, according to the official. Netanyahu believes that a ceasefire at this stage would carry with it significant risks. Yeah, and I mean, again, and the Israelis don't give a shit what they're doing to the rest of the world, right? The entire rest of the world can fucking burn as far as the Israelis are concerned. They don't give a fuck. Don't you understand? Mickey Mouse promised them this land a few thousand years ago, right? They are true believers of Mickey Mouse. Those people over there, they believe in Donald Duck. Therefore, they gotta die, right? So I think is what's going to be interesting with us as we move forward is what happens when we don't have control over our own war. We don't. I don't know anybody who supports this shit. I don't know anybody who understands this shit. I don't know anybody who supports this shit. We have no idea what the end goal looks like. Again, one of the things I always talk about, what does the win look like? What does the loss look like? Truly think about this for a second. Do you have any idea what the win for the Iran war looks like? Do you understand why we're there? Do you understand how far we will go as a nation to get to the goal that we don't know what it is? Right? We were told this was going to be a quick war. And now it's 5 weeks in, and it's probably going to get a hell of a lot longer. 15,000 troops in the region, possible, boots on the ground, right? Trump was the big one to argue against forever wars. Again, I may dislike the idea of not supporting Ukraine, but if you say the United States shouldn't be dealing with military adventurism, we shouldn't be dealing with all these fights and things that we don't understand all around the world, I can understand if we don't support Ukraine and we don't go to war with Iran. But what I don't understand is, so we're not supposed to support Ukraine, but we are supposed to bomb the ever-loving hell out of Iran. Because obviously that makes sense in some wackadoodle world. And so it's curious is to look at, again, I was talking about this yesterday, already airlines are canceling flights. Already diesel prices are going through the roof. So one of the things like for Americans, right, there's different grades of fuel. Again, there's gas for cars, and there's diesel fuel, and then there's jet fuel. And again, for us in the United States, we basically drive gasoline vehicles. We don't use diesel except for large vehicles, and so we don't see it a lot. You just intrinsically don't see it a lot. But although gas prices have gone up, diesel prices have already gone up massively. Right, so gas prices are up, diesel prices are up massively. Jet fuel prices have already doubled. Right, you're talking about fertilizer not getting out of the Middle East. You talk about all of these follow-on effects of everything happening, and that what is the end? What is the end? Because I mean, again, like depending on who you listen to, whether it's Israel or the United States still considers that Iran has 50% of their missile and drone capacity. Israel says it's like 25 or 30%. Basically, it's an argument about how usable the usable capacity is. Anyways, even if they still have 30%. 30% can do damage for a long fucking time. You know what I'm saying? They're not saying like, yeah, well, Iran's down to like 5 missiles. All we have to do is wait for Iran to launch those 5 missiles and then we're done. No, they still got 30%. And they have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of missiles. God knows how many drones and the rest of it. And so again, with the Strait of Hormuz, already been shut down for 5 weeks. That'll get shut down for longer. Again, if we today is Trump's ultimatum day, where we're just gonna go and commit war crimes because we're America. Truth, justice, and the American way. One of those things is not like the other. Anyways, yeah, we're just going to commit war crimes. We're just going to bomb their power plants. We're just going to bomb their bridges and the rest of it because it's what Netanyahu demands. And as we do that, Iran's going to retaliate because they're going to, right? They have no reason to quote unquote surrender. And where does all this go? And that we don't have any power over this, right? Regime change starts in Tel Aviv. It's a hell of a thing. As I say, I now know and understand how a Puerto Rican feels. Oh, this is what it feels like to be powerless in your own country. Oh, I understand now. And yeah, and again, like think about this. It doesn't seem like the Israelis give a damn. The Israelis do not seem to give a shit if the world burns around them. So long as they get what they want. So long as they get what Mickey Mouse promised them. And so what's going to happen? You know, it's interesting. That's where, I read books. People say I flex. They're like, oh yeah, he flexes reading books. When did that become a flex? That's weird. But I read. I just got done with this book on Stalingrad, right? The battle for Stalingrad. And I was talking about that with Hitler, right? So Hitler sent all the Nazis into Stalingrad. And it was interesting. It was interesting, the entire campaign. It starts with the beginning and ends with the end. And the interesting thing is, like, when Hitler sent all the troops to Stalingrad, for a long time, they were really excited and they were really happy. And they were going to stomp the shit out of the Russians and show those Bolsheviks what's what. And then they're gonna conquer Stalingrad. And that was going to be one of the crown jewels of the Nazi Empire. And then the Russians didn't stop fighting. Like, it's funny. There's whole passages in this book on Stalingrad where the Nazis are like, why won't they stop fighting? We should have won by now. Russia should have surrendered and given up at this point in time. But the Russians just keep fighting. And the exact same time they keep fighting, all right, they boost their resources. They boost their military and the rest of it. They're able to survive long enough. They go through and they basically do they surround the Nazis, and just all kinds of horribleness, ensues after that. But again, you think about that in the modern world. Like, what is the equivalent of encircling the American empire? As I've talked about this whole, empire called Hampi back in India. I've talked about it many times. But like, what happens if you just destroy the oil supply for the modern world? Again, we as a nation need the modern world. We don't have the ability at this point in time to go back to subsistence farming. Like, it's interesting. I was up in Nepal years ago doing the Annapurna circuit, and I was talking to a buddy of mine afterwards. And like, the funny thing we were talking about is that, like, if a nuclear war happened, like all these yak herds, like you're up in the Himalayas, you know, these people with the yaks or whatever. And the funny part is, like, even if there was a nuclear war, right? Imagine two superpowers wipe the hell out of each other, right? As long as, like, no bomb hits them and they don't get hit with too much radiation, tomorrow would still look a lot like today for them. There could be a whole nuclear war happen, and the yak herds up in the Himalayas are still going to be herding yaks. Here's the thing. I don't have the ability to herd yaks. My family gave up our yaks a long time ago. I don't even know the technology. Like, I would have to have ancient aliens come down and give me yaks so I could understand yak technology. Like, think about that. Like, if you're an American, food, water. Think about everything that comes from modern society, and so much of what allows that to happen goes through the Middle East. And then think about if we bomb the shit out of the bridges and the power plants, as the Iranian said, you know, back in the Stone Ages, we weren't pumping oil. And we don't have control over this. This is Netanyahu's war. This is Israel's war. We are the fucking bootlicks of a gnat speck, little shit-ass colony that should have been fucking evacuated decades ago. So anyways, something to think about. Something to think about. Israel and Netanyahu are pushing for continued war, regardless of the cost. What is that going to look like for American society? And if you're Israeli, thing to think about, will you ever be forgiven? Will you ever be forgiven? Not for me. Not in my lifetime. Anyways, put your thoughts down below. See y'all later.